Hey everyone, welcome to the Coding Zoo. If this is your first time joining us, my name is Shane, and this is our CSS building block lessons. So, in this lesson, this is lesson number 2, we're going to cover the different type of CSS selectors. So, CSS selectors are a way of applying CSS rules to an element. A selector is a way of searching for a particular element that you want to apply a rule to. So if you're ready to get started, let's do it. Okay, so on your desktop, you should have from lesson 1 a CZ-CSS folder. I renamed mine to CZ-CSS-lessons, and I'm going to go inside of that folder. There we go. And I have my CZ-CSS1 folder from the first lesson. I'm going to go ahead and take that coding zoo CSS folder that we originally created, the template. I'm going to right click on it, choose copy. I'm going to go to this subfolder, to the folder CZ-CSS-lessons, and I'm going to press Control V to copy it there. And now I'm going to rename it to CZ-CSS2. So this will be our second lesson. So now I have a CZ-CSS2 lesson 2 folder, and that's what we're going to do each lesson. Go ahead and copy your template to create a new lesson folder. That way it leaves you a reference to the work you did in previous lessons, so you can go back and look at it in case you forget a particular feature. So I won't go over that anymore. This is the second video, so we're going to keep doing that each video. So in the third video, you should be used to it by now. We're just going to go cut and paste and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go into the CSS2 folder. I'm going to right click on index.html. I'm going to choose edit with Notepad++ or Notepad if you're using it. I'm going to go to my index.html page there, and I'm going to add an h1 tag. So less than h1 greater than, and I'm going to type in heading 1, heading 1, less than / a slash leaning towards the right, h1 greater than sign. I'm going to press enter. I'm doing this inside my body, of course. So I'm going to type in less than h2 and greater than, and I'm going to type in the word heading 2, heading 2. I'm going to add my ending HTML element. Type in less than. I'm going to type in h2 greater than sign. All right, so I have 2 different tags here. Press enter. I'm going to type in one more. So less than h3 greater than, type in the word heading 3, heading space 3. I'm going to put a closing tag, less than / h3 greater than sign. And on my h2 tag, on the end tag, I forgot to put the /. So found that bug real quick. Let's knock that bug out. So put a /. There we go. All right. Okay, I'm going to click save. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my CSS folder. I'm going to right click on the style.css, choose edit with Notepad++. It's now open in my Notepad++ also. Before we change the style on these h1 tags, let's go ahead and open up the web page. So I'm going to go back to my CZ-CSS2 folder, right click on the index.html file, choose open with, and choose your browser, in my case Google Chrome. There we go. All right, so now you should see I have the heading 1 tag, heading 2 tag, and heading 3 tag in use. Notice there's some default styling for h1. tags, you shouldn't get used to using that. The HTML element should be used for describing your data, not for styling your data. So use CSS for styling your data. So we actually may later on change the size of H1 to be a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller. But anyway, let's go ahead and add some styling to these different tags here. So we're going to go over 3 different ways to do that. Let's go back to Notepad++. Let's go into our styles class. And the first way we're going to do is just like we did in lesson 2. Let's go type in H1 space squiggly line, squiggly bracket, close squiggly bracket, put my arrow in the middle, press enter. And now I'm going to add the property color, COLOR, colon, BLUE, semicolon. And I like to put a space between the property name and value. So I'm going to add a space there. Choose save. Go back to my browser, choose refresh. And there we go, it's blue. Okay, so this is called, this selector is setting the rule that color should be blue. And it's an element selector. It's trying to search for the H1 elements. So any H1 element in your document will now turn blue. So this is called an element selector. All right, now go back to your index.html file, go to your heading tag, and let's add, in the H2 tag, the heading 2 tag, let's add an attribute. So let's go to your H2 element, let's type in another attribute, press space, we're going to type in the attribute class, so CLASS equals, double quote, and now I'm going to put in subtitle. SUBTITLE in double quote. I'm going to click save. So I just set an attribute on my HTML element and I set it to the value of subtitle. The attribute I set was class and I set it to the value of subtitle. Now I can do this on all HTML elements. All HTML elements support the class attribute. So if I want to, I can also put the same class on H3. I'm not going to do that, but I'm just saying that you can do that. All right, and that's the beauty of having a CSS class. You can reuse it on HTML elements by using the class attribute. Okay, so I'm pointing to a subtitle CSS class, but we haven't created that yet. So I'm going to go back to my styles and CSS, go beneath my H1 tag, press enter. And I'm going to type in dot SUBTITLE space squiggly open bracket squiggly close bracket. Put my cursor in the middle, press enter, and I'm going to type in color, COLOR, colon, RED, and then semicolon. So my H1 section up here above is a element selector. I just created a class selector. So I've defined a class on the H2 tag called subtitle. This is a selector. It's basically a search mechanism to say, hey, find all the classes that are called subtitle. Color them red. So I'm going to click save, go to my browser, click refresh, and there we go. Now my heading tags are red. Now I can take that same class attribute and class equals subtitle and put it on other elements, and those elements will turn red. So you can reuse that class. All right, so that's creating a class and selecting that class, searching for it, and applying a CSS property to it. So there's one other way we're going to go over today on how to search for HTML elements to apply CSS properties to. Let's go back to our Notepad++. All right, so I'm going to go to my index.html, go to H3 tag, and let's give it an ID. I'm going to say ID equals double quote, and I'm going to put section, SECTION dash title, TITLE. Okay, so I have H3 ID, which is an attribute, equals section title. So my value of the ID attribute on my H3 tag is called section title. So I'm going to go back to my styles.css, and now I'm going to choose to search for all HTML elements that have an ID of section-title. So I'm going to put a pound sign, which is your shift 3. So pound, SECTION-TITLE, space, open squiggly bracket, close squiggly bracket. Put my cursor in the middle, press enter, go to the next line, type in color, COLOR, colon, and let's do orange, ORANGE, semicolon. And I am choosing some weird colors today, but okay. Click save, go back to my browser, hit refresh. There we go. So now I have a blue heading 1, a red heading 2, and a orange heading 3. And we did this with an element selector on our H1. We did this with a class selector, searching for the class called subtitle. And we did this with an ID selector called section title. So these are different ways in a CSS style sheet to search for elements in your HTML pages. And there you go. That's 3 main ways for searching for elements and applying style properties to them. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you liked the lesson. If you did, click that like button. If not, hey, leave us a comment. Click dislike, leave us a comment, and let us know how we can improve. We'd love to make this a better experience for you so you can learn how to program. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click that subscribe button, click on the bell, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day.